Emmanuel Macron has ambitions to be the next incarnation of Napoleon, but lacks the talent or leadership skills, a Polish MEP has said in a scathing takedown of the French president. Mr. Macron is currently wrestling with France's worsening coronavirus numbers, and this week imposed a lockdown to slow down a third wave of the pandemic, despite his previous reluctance to do so. Ryszard Czarnecki, who represents the Law and Justice Party in the European Parliament, was asked for his verdict on Mr. Macron. Mr. Czarnecki, the former Polish Minister for Europe, as well as the former Vice President of the European Parliament, said, "Macron would like to be the next incarnation of Napoleon, although he doesn't seem to have his leadership and military talents. The fact that he has set up his own group in the European Parliament, Renew, shows his aspirations." He asked Europe to export vaccines for free to Africa, and the next day he talked about banning exports outside of the Union. Mr. Macron won the French presidency in 2017, comfortably defeating Marine Le Pen of the far-right National Rally in the second round of voting. He is already gearing up next year's election, with the potential to win a second 5-year term. Mr. Campbell considered Mr. Macron's political future, especially given Mrs. Merkel's impending départ. As Angela Merkel prepares to leave office after 16 years as German Chancellor, most of them as indisputably Europe's most powerful figure, Macron now sees the second-term possibilities of being not just a leader in Europe, but the leader of Europe. Macron sees a route to restored pride through showing France cares not just for the French, but for the world. He, every bit as much as Merkel, was the one driving EU leaders Ursula von der Leyen and Charles Michel to devise a European strategy, even at the cost of domestic political turbulence amid early errors in Brussels. The challenge Mr. Macron is facing to contain the virus within his own country was starkly illustrated yesterday by figures indicating 5,254 people were in intensive care units with COVID-19, an increase of 145 people in one day and the highest daily increase in 5 months. The risk of emergency wards being unable to cope was one of the main reasons for Mr. Macron's decision to impose a third nationwide lockdown, after unsuccessfully trying for months to contain the epidemic with a curfew and regional lockdowns. At the height of the first lockdown in spring 2020, France saw a high of 7,148 COVID-19 patients in ICUs, but that number fell back to a few hundred in August after the strict first lockdown. During November's less strict lockdown, ICU numbers peaked at just under 5,000 but have remained high and only briefly dipped under 3,000 in December. With new infections increasing rapidly, doctors believe the third wave will peak within a fortnight, with another increase in ICU numbers. On Friday, new confirmed cases jumped by the highest week-on-week rate since the end of November, when France was in its second nationwide lockdown. The government reported 46,677 new cases, 6.2% more than a week ago, bringing the total to 4.74 million cases.